Hello, I'm Paul DeCesare, Manager of Architectural Quality Assurance for PPG Flat Glass. Glass is one of the most popular and versatile building materials used today. One reason is because its solar and thermal performance is constantly improving. One way this performance is achieved is through the use of passive and solar-controlled Low E coatings. Today, we'll talk about how these coatings work and the impact they have on a building performance. Here's what we'll cover: an overview of the solar energy spectrum, the definition of emissivity, how Low E coatings work, the two different types of Low E coatings, and how Low E coatings improve a window's performance. Before we talk about the performance of Low E glass, let's begin with a brief overview of the sun's energy spectrum. Ultraviolet light, visible light, and infrared light all occupy different parts of the solar spectrum. The differences between the three are determined by their wavelengths. Ultraviolet light, which is what causes fabrics and wall coverings to fade, has wavelengths of 310 to 380 nanometers. Visible light occupies the part of the spectrum between 380 and 780 nanometers. Infrared light, which is transmitted as heat into a building, begins at wavelengths of 780 nanometers. Solar infrared is commonly referred to as shortwave infrared. Heat radiating off of warm objects has higher wavelengths than the sun and is referred to as long-wave infrared. Low E coatings have been developed to minimize the amount of ultraviolet and infrared light that can pass through glass without compromising the amount of visible light that is transmitted. When heat or light energy is absorbed by glass, it is cooled by moving air or re-radiated by the glass surface. The relative ability of a material surface to radiate energy is known as emissivity. In general, highly reflective materials have a low emissivity, and dull, darker colored materials have a high emissivity. All materials, including windows, radiate heat in the form of long-wave infrared energy, depending on the emissivity and temperature of their surfaces. Radiant energy is one of the important ways heat transfer occurs with windows. Reducing the emissivity of one or more of the window glass surfaces improves a window's performance and insulating properties. For example, uncoated glass has an emissivity of 0.84, while PPG's Solar Control SolarBand 70XL glass has an emissivity of 0.02. This is where Low E glass coatings come into play. Low E glass has a microscopically thin, transparent coating that reflects long-wave infrared energy or heat. Some Low E coatings also reflect significant amounts of shortwave solar infrared energy, but we'll get to that later. When the interior heat tries to escape to the cold outside during the winter, the Low E coating reflects the heat back inside, reducing the radiant heat loss through the glass. The reverse happens during the summer. To use a simple analogy, Low E glass works the same way a thermos does. A thermos has a silver lining, which reflects temperature of the drink it contains back in. The temperature is maintained because of the reflection that occurs, as well as the insulating benefits that the airspace provides between the inner and outer shells, similar to an insulating glass unit. Since Low E glass is comprised of extremely thin layers of silver or other Low E materials, the same theory applies. The silver Low E coating reflects the interior temperatures back inside, keeping the room warm or cool. There are actually two different types of Low E coatings: passive Low E and solar control Low E. Most passive Low E coatings are manufactured using the pyrolytic process. The coating is applied to the glass ribbon while it is being produced on the float line. The coating then fuses to the hot glass surface, creating a strong bond or a hard coat that is very durable during fabrication. Finally, the glass is cut into stock sheets of various sizes for shipment to fabricators. Passive Low E coatings are good for very cold climates because they allow some of the sun's shortwave infrared to pass through and help heat the building during the winter, but still reflect the interior long-wave infrared back inside. Most solar control Low E coatings, such as what is used for SolarBand 70XL glass, are manufactured using the MSVD process. The coating is applied offline to pre-cut glass in a vacuum chamber at room temperature. This coating, sometimes referred to as a soft coat, needs to be sealed in an IG or laminated unit and has lower emissivity and superior solar control. The best performing solar control coatings are MSVD, and they are ideal for mild to hot climates that are dominated by air conditioning use. Low E coatings are applied to the various surfaces of insulating glass units. In a standard double pane IG, there are 4 potential coating surfaces to which they can be applied. The first surface faces outdoors and never has a low E coating because of its exposure to the outside elements. The second and third surfaces face each other inside the IG and are separated by an airspace and an insulating spacer. The fourth surface faces directly indoors. Whether a low E coating is considered passive or solar control, they offer improvements in performance numbers. Here are some of the measures used to determine the effectiveness of glass with low E coatings. U value is the rating given to a window based on how much heat loss it allows. Visible light transmittance is a measure of how much light passes through a window. Solar heat gain coefficient is the fraction of solar radiation admitted through a window, both directly transmitted, absorbed, and re-radiated inward. The lower a window's solar heat gain coefficient, the less solar heat it transmits. Light to solar heat gain is the ratio between the window's solar heat gain coefficient and its visible light transmittance rating. Here's how the 2 types of coatings measure up. As a general rule, passive low E coatings work well in heating-dominated climates, while solar control low E coatings are typically recommended for cooling-dominated climates. To wrap up, today we covered the solar energy spectrum, the definition of emissivity, how low E coatings work, the types of low E coatings, and how low E coatings improve a window's performance numbers. When thinking of windows, size, tint, and other aesthetic qualities come to mind. But as you've seen, low E coatings play an important role in the overall performance of a window. For more information about low E coatings, please contact us at ppgideascapes.com or call 888-774-4332. To learn more about how low E coatings can affect the heating, cooling, and lighting costs of a building, download our white paper. You can also find detailed technical documents for this topic, along with many others, by clicking on the Resources and Literature link.